listening to the Film Monsters Podcast with Nate and Ray.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to a new year, new podcast. Well, not really new podcast. It's the Film Monsters Podcast, and I'm Nate.
And this is New Year, New Me, Ray.
New Year, New Me, Ray. And we're back today to talk about movies again, unless we decide that we're going to change this podcast to talking about our other favorite subject matter, which is just Adam Sandler movies. That's all the podcast is going to be all year, is us talking about Mr. Adam Sandler.
You mean you weren't serious about that?
No, well, what was I being serious about it? I don't know if we'll ever know. Well, I did want to bring this up with you before the podcast started because I thought it would be fun to talk about because it ties into something that we discussed in a previous episode. But I watched the Prime Video movie from director Nikatu Jusu that is going to direct the new Night of the Living Dead reboot that we discussed.
How is that?
I watched her debut film, Nanny. It was really good. It's not a perfect movie. There's some things that it suffers from, but I definitely wanted to tell you about it because I know like how much the Night of the Living Dead property means to you and how excited you probably are that any more stuff is being made about it. But it's a pretty simple story. It's about a woman who's from Senegal, and she comes to the United States, and she starts working as a nanny for this wealthy white couple in Manhattan. And their daughter is super picky about food. She never wants to eat. And as soon as she gets there, the daughter's mood completely changes. She gets happier. She's more excited with life. And at the same time, her son is in Senegal with her sister. And so she's trying to get enough money to bring her son back into the United States. And while the movie is taking place, all this really surreal, horrifying stuff starts happening to her that is kind of expressive of the inner turmoil of what black people that are immigrants that come to the United States have to deal with in order to not only like gain citizenship, but to build up enough money to create the quote unquote American dream for their own families. And it was shot so beautifully. The performances were really great. I think that it gets a little caught up in its subject matter to where some of the scenes start to feel a little repetitive. But by the end of the movie, it had gripped me enough to where I was like, damn, I'm really excited to see what this director makes next. And knowing how good the dialogue was and the character dynamics were in the movie, I am very excited. I think that she's going to bring something really awesome to the table with that property.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. I feel like a lot of these directors, I'm happy that they're taking on better, bigger projects and stuff like that because I feel like, we're coming to an age where as much as I love these people, like your Villeneuves, your Christopher Nolans, all of these directors are eventually going to start moving to bigger and better things. So we need up and coming new indie directors. We need... I would even argue that, like, definitely Christopher Nolan, but Denis Villeneuve has joined that pantheon of, like, the great new directors. So we need all these up-and-coming, indie directors, to join us. I would argue that the Daniels are starting to enter that group of, like, the name directors.
They've only made 2 movies.
Yeah, so, but what I'm getting at is, like, I'm excited to see, like, newer directors start to come to fruition because, eventually we're going to need new names to come in. So I'm excited for that for sure.
Today on my list, we're going to talk about a new director that I'm so excited for their movie coming out this year. But I will say when you're talking about that, I was really excited. I watched Steven Spielberg's The Fabelmans recently, and it really felt like a return to form for Steven Spielberg.
That sounds awesome.
You could tell he was so passionate about the project. You get probably one of the greatest performances of the year from Michelle Williams. Just amazing. Paul Dano's great in it. And Seth Rogen. Talk about a guy who's really come around in his career that whenever he gives dramatic performances, he really takes me by surprise. And he was fantastic in this movie.
What else has he done that's, like, serious?
So it's a little bit more of a comedy, but that 50-50 movie that he was in with Joseph Gordon-Levitt was a little bit more serious for him. I know he was in one of the Steve Jobs movies.
one of the like 10,000 that we
Yeah,
got.
I don't remember if it was. I think it wasn't the one with Ashton Kutcher. It was the one with Michael Fassbender.
So the good one, from what I
Yeah.
heard.
I don't typically watch biopics, so I don't know. But I really like Seth Rogen. I thought it was great to see him in that. And all the performances in it are great. And it's a Spielberg movie that made me feel the way that, like, E.T. and a lot of the earlier movies in his career made me feel. Very like my heartstrings were pulled at. There were some really intense, dramatic moments that were, really brutal, and I don't know how much of it is really about his life. I know it's semi-autobiographical, but if he went through some of the stuff that he conveys when he was in high school, dude went through some shit.
Well, I feel like that's an. I'm glad that we're moving away from this in 2023. But I feel like growing up, like during especially his era, but even like our era that we grew up in, is like being the creative, artistic person was not the cool thing to do.
Well, not to mention, according to the movie, his dad was like a big tech guy who eventually ended up getting a job with IBM. And so most of the movie is them kind of like moving all over the place and having to deal with that. Well, they end up in this place in California where people are like horribly racist towards Jewish people. And some of the stuff that happens to him in high school, it was just really rough to watch. So I think it's a movie that you'll really get a lot out of. I think you'll really appreciate it. It's Spielberg at the top of his game, which is always exciting to see.
Spielberg has always been like, if when you watch a Spielberg movie, like you'll at least be entertained, if not. So he is a good director. I haven't seen a movie that I didn't like. Yeah, there's some movies that I've seen that maybe weren't as good, but I haven't seen a movie that I didn't like.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like he's one of those directors that over the past couple years, I feel like his movies have kind of fit into a specific formula, where like he's done a lot more like historical drama pieces and things of that nature comparatively to a lot of his more unique and original ideas, which is the things I love the most about Spielberg. But that's not to take away from the fact that I still think the guy's a genius.
So before we move on to our topic, I wanted to ask you like an impromptu question.
You can always ask me impromptu questions. Those are some of my most fun things we get to do on this.
So, as you've been watching, I've been lacking severely, but as you've been watching some of these, some movies to kind of play catch up with 2022, is there one or two that you just discovered that you're like, whoa, that flew under my radar? I want to check that out.
As far as like movies I haven't seen yet, I don't really think there's one that like I feel like I've missed, other than like movies like Tar and Pinocchio and stuff I told you I wanted to watch. But I will say that thankfully, due to your recommendation, I loved Vesper.
And that makes me so happy.
Yeah, I thought Vesper was fantastic. I thought that I know you said that it was formulaic, and I agree there are elements of the story that are formulaic, but I think as far as what you and I look for in movies, as like originality and concept and production design, and the score to the movie was amazing, all the performances were fantastic. Like, it really was a movie that took me by surprise. I never would have thought I would have liked it as much as I did. And then I know we joked about it on the podcast beforehand, but I loved the new Puss in Boots. I loved it. I did not expect to love it, but it was amazing. And it's a movie that I probably would have never gone and seen. I had tickets to see Megan, and I got stuck in horrible traffic and ended up being like 35 minutes late. I didn't know anything about it, but I went in and watched it, and it was wonderful. It's definitely the type of animated movie we like, that balances those adult themes with things that can also resonate with kids. And the animation is beautiful. It's like some of my favorite animation from last year.
That's awesome. I'll have to add that to the list.
For sure. I'm really glad that I watched that. And I feel like there's a lot of times that happens, that I'll be lucky enough to watch a movie that's kind of slept on like that. Like a movie I didn't mention in my honorable mentions, but George Miller's 3,000 Years of Longing that came out last year. That was another movie that was way slept on. Not enough people saw that. And I know everybody loves Fury Road, but 3,000 Years of Longing was such a beautiful character drama, and Tilda Swinton and Idris Elba were amazing in it.
Well, cool. You keep just adding to my list.
Yeah, that's what I hope to do. I hope to just keep adding onto your list to the point where you're like, dude, Nate, you gotta slow down, man. Like this is too much. But I have to say, I am really excited about our episode today. I feel like this isn't something we always get to do, but like talking about movies we haven't seen yet is a fun thing to me. I love getting ourselves hyped up because there's nothing that you and I love more than movies and music. And I think just like when one of the artists that we love says like, hey, I'm about to release a new album or anything of that nature, we want to get ourselves as hyped up as possible. So even talking about these movies with you today, I just can't wait. I'm so excited.
Oh, me too. I also wanna issue a challenge.
Yeah. What's your challenge?
And we might as well kick things off this way. One of the movies that I was going to bring up, and I'm sure you were going to bring up too, is Beau is Afraid, right?
100%. I was going to bring that up, yes.
So let's talk about it first, because I want to issue a challenge to you about this movie. But let's talk about it first, and then we can lead up to the challenge I want to issue.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that the first thing we can say is that there's probably nothing you and I are more excited about than one of our favorite new directors working with, I would say, one of you and I's favorite actors of all time.
Oh yeah, no, it's going to be insane. And we both know that Ari Aster is not by any means like a conventional director.
Not at all. And I feel like because he's so early in his career, he's not tied down to one genre either. Like, I think a lot of people know him for horror, but I think in both Midsommar and Hereditary, he's been able to incorporate elements of comedy in his movies too. And that makes me really excited because knowing Joaquin Phoenix, I don't feel like this movie is going to be as on the nose or as like attached to one genre as his previous two movies have been, although I love them both.
Yeah, well, and there's been every time that I recommend, especially Hereditary, when I recommend Hereditary, a lot of people are like, oh, isn't that a scary movie? I was like, that is a family drama up until the last 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. And then it becomes a straightforward horror movie.
Yeah.
Like one that unsettled me. But one of the things that I love about Ari Aster is one of the reasons why I think you and I both love movies in general anyway, is that he takes real life trauma and real life horror and adds those supernatural elements into it to elevate that horror.
Oh, yeah.
To make you scared. And that's something I really appreciate because one of the things about horror as a whole, and I think why we connect to it, is you and I have both lived lives that we've dealt with, you know, mental illness, depression, anxiety. We've both been through our fair share of shit in life. And I think watching movies that kind of convey those things to an extreme sense really help resonate with you that, hey, there's other people that have been there and experienced the things I have. And I feel that way every time I watch an Ari Aster movie.
Yeah, well, and he always, like you said, he taps on that. And I feel like, obviously I don't know how the man works, but I feel like Ari Aster takes a concept that's very relatable to just any person and then adds the genre. I feel like for his movies that I've seen, I feel like at its core he has an idea, he has a message he wants to convey, and then he adds the genre.
Yes, that's very similar to, I actually watched an interview a few years ago with Edgar Wright. And when Edgar Wright was with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost and coming up with the idea for the Cornetto trilogy, they had no idea what the movies were going to, like the subject matter were going to be. They wrote the character dynamics and the things about the characters and then said, hey, let's make this about zombies.
That's funny, but that's awesome.
Like, yeah, so he doesn't go into it with that either. He's very much doing it from a neutral perspective. And if Ari Aster's doing it that way, props to him. What a cool thing.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me too, because there is so much depth to what he's trying to say that transcends the genre of the movie.
Oh, 100%. I completely agree. I'm very, very excited for this movie. I feel like, you know, anytime A24 does a collaboration with one of the directors that we love, you and I both get hyped out of our minds for it. And so this is definitely one that I'm going to want to be there opening weekend.
So, having said that, are you ready for the challenge I want to issue?
I'm ready for the challenge you want to issue.
You can do it with Beau is Afraid, or you can do it with any of the movies we talk about. And I want to challenge the listeners too. Whoever's listening, I want to extend this challenge for anybody listening. Whether it be Beau is Afraid or whatever other movie you choose, I want us to pick a movie and go completely blind. I'm talking about avoid press releases on that, avoid reviews, avoid trailers if at all possible, and just go watch a movie completely blind.
I absolutely love that idea because there's so many times. Jess has been my inspiration for that. Jess lately, whenever she's been watching a movie, like even if it's something, because I'm really, between doing YouTube and TikTok and doing this podcast with you, I'm really embedded in that community. So like I see a lot of things and I see a lot of press releases and stuff. And Jess is like, I'll go and she'll say, okay, give me like a 5-second snippet of what it's about. And I'll tell her and she'll be like, okay, that's all I want to know. I don't want to know anything else. And I think that's the best way to go about it.
Well, there are 2 examples where I did that. And I didn't do it completely blind, but like, for example, I saw when Last Night in Soho came out, regardless of how people feel about that movie, I saw the teaser trailer where you see, what's her name?
Thomasin McKenzie?
Yeah, Thomasin McKenzie, when you see her crawling on the floor and you see all the hands coming to grab her.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like Last Night in Soho. And that's literally the only trailer I saw. So when I went and watched Last Night in Soho, somebody asked me, like, oh, what's that movie about? I was like, I don't know. I'm going to find out right now.
And that is the best. Well, and especially with someone like Edgar Wright. I feel like with Edgar Wright, you pretty much know, like, you show up to something Edgar Wright makes, you're probably going to like it.
And that's why I kind of want to do it with... And that's kind of why I want to do it. Yeah.
If people didn't like Last Night in Soho, there's something wrong with you.
Well, and like, that's why I'm proposing it for Beau is Afraid, because I trust Ari Aster and I trust Joaquin Phoenix.
100% I do too. The only thing that I have seen of that movie is the new poster that came out with him and all the different makeup.
Yeah, that's it. I was going to suggest a different movie, but how many trailers have dropped this week alone, you know?
Exactly. It becomes a little difficult when a million trailers come out at the same time.
Yeah.
But I wanted to start out mine, which you'll be surprised because everybody's like, oh, Nate's going to bring up some obscure indie movie first. Well, you know what? I'm not. I'm going to bring up a movie that I think a lot of people are going to be surprised that I'm as excited for as I am.
Fast and the Furious 10?
No, I don't give a shit about that movie. But I know you are probably equally as excited as me to see this. I can't fucking wait for the new Indiana Jones.
Really?
I don't think I have ever made it as apparent as I have as how much I love Indiana Jones. A lot of that has to do with the bond that I have with my brother and the way that we have been with those movies over the years. I love the original trilogy. I think that Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, while it is not a perfect movie, is fun. It's stupid and fun and entertaining. And I'm really excited for this one, especially because if you put Mads Mikkelsen in as a villain, it's going to be a good movie. I just have a feeling.
Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen is... Everything he does is great.
He's just so talented. And I love the TV show Fleabag. So Phoebe Waller-Bridge is going to play his like sidekick in the movie. And I can't wait to see that. Really excited about that one. And obviously, Harrison Ford's getting a little older. The fact that he's able to do any of these stunts like whatsoever is pretty wild in my opinion.
Yeah.
But that doesn't take away from the fact that I'm going to be there opening weekend, and I hope that it's good because it's something if they're gonna pass the baton, which I feel like they probably are going to do that. It'll be interesting to see what direction they go with it. And I don't know what your thoughts are on the Indiana Jones series, but
I like them. Indiana Jones to me is kind of like I have the same relationship with Indiana Jones as I have with Star Wars. I didn't grow up with them. I watched them as now that I'm older, and I liked them. They were great. In fact, even Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, it's my least favorite of the four. but it was still fine. It was still entertaining.
You know what my favorite one is?
Is it Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
No. Temple of Doom is my favorite.
That's my favorite too.
It's the most fun. I feel like it is the most entertaining of all of the movies in that franchise. I think Harrison Ford has the most fun in that movie. And it's just one that every time I rewatch it, I love it even more. So I'm really excited for it. I don't really have much else to say about it because it's Indiana Jones and everybody talks about it. But like, I can't wait. And I wanted to surprise some people because I'm pretty sure that nobody thought that that was going to be the first movie that I brought up.
I thought you were going to say it was going to be the new Transformers.
Well, how do you know me so well? Like, how are you in my mind?
Well, because we had discussed that our next episode was going to be about ranking the Transformer movies.
Oh, that's what we're doing. We're ranking every Transformers movie. I can't wait. So excited. So, what's another movie you're excited for the year since I brought up Indiana Jones?
Well, while we're talking about big budget movies, you know me, you know, despite criticism, I always enjoy a Christopher Nolan movie. I always anticipate a Christopher Nolan movie. So, I love Cillian Murphy, so of course I'm excited for Oppenheimer.
Do you think that it's that Christopher Nolan came up with this idea because he's like, I love the way that Cillian Murphy looks in bright sunlight after sunshine. I just want to see him lit in glorious bright light.
Look, I think it's shot in black and white. So.
Well, have you not seen the trailer yet?
I've seen the teaser.
Yeah, it had like the fiery orange color amidst the black and white.
Oh, no, I haven't seen that one. I've only seen the teaser.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if he'll incorporate that that way. But
I try to avoid trailers, especially when it's someone that I like. Like, I know I'm going to go watch a Christopher Nolan movie, so I don't need a trailer. So typically I will avoid trailers, but so yeah, I haven't seen this one yet.
Yeah, I am very, very excited to watch this movie. Despite anything I've ever said about Christopher Nolan in the past, I'm still excited to watch this movie.
Well, the thing about, I think where Christopher Nolan has fallen short previously is on the suspended disbelief thing when he writes movies and you have to suspend disbelief a little too much. And I feel like because Oppenheimer is more of like essentially a biopic, maybe not entirely a biopic, but it's more of a character piece. I am interested to see if he's going to focus more on like this character in the bomb or if he's going to focus on the character himself. Because it'll be really interesting to see. I would like to see Christopher Nolan put care into the characters because I do agree with that criticism that he's all about the special effects and the practical things that he does and the cool, light, shiny explosions. And he doesn't put enough care to the characters, which I want that. I want to see something that he treats the characters with more care. I definitely want to see that.
Which is disappointing because early in his career, he did have some incredible character moments. I mean, you look at a film like Memento or even like The Prestige, where the characters were really the forefront of those movies. And then I feel like he started to get more acclaimed. And now he's like, I can make these large visual spectacles. But then a lot of times that pulls away from the character development. Like even Inception, I wish Leo DiCaprio's character was more fleshed out.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that he kind of goes back to that with Oppenheimer because this is supposedly this is about the character. So I'm hoping that we get to see more character.
Yes, I 100% agree with you. I really hope that we get a little bit more character out of it. But it is one I'm going to watch. I'm really excited to see it. I hope that it's great.
Yeah, me too.
Well, the next movie I want to bring up is a movie that I guarantee that you are equally as excited to see as I am. And this is, Ray was talking at the beginning of the episode about, new directors and be excited about new directors. And one of, I would say, Ray and I's favorite new directors, because I know he loved the first movie as much as I did, is Mr. Brandon Cronenberg. And I cannot wait for Infinity Pool.
Infinity Pool looks... I haven't seen the trailer. Again, like I said, I try to avoid trailers if it's something that I know I'm going to go watch. But, I mean, Mia Goth has had an incredible last year. She has cemented herself as dare I say, a scream queen now.
Yes, 100%. And also Mr. Alexander Skarsgård.
Who, I mean, what a hunk on
Yeah, for sure.
on the Northman.
And I'm also really excited for it too because I know you're a huge soundtrack guy, Ray. Are you familiar with Tim Hecker?
Tim Hecker, not off the top of my head.
So Tim Hecker makes this really wild ambient electronic music that is beautiful. I actually saw a review for one of his albums and I was like, I want to listen to this. So I dove into it. It is so surreal and strange and otherworldly, and that is who he got to score this film, which makes me really excited for hearing Tim's other music, where this is going to go. I feel like it's going to be a wild experience.
Yeah, because I'm looking at his filmography of the films, because he has scored a few films already, and I don't recognize a single film.
Yeah, so his the album that I listened to was called, I got to pull it up now so that I can tell you so I don't feel like a dummy. It's called Dropped Pianos. It came out in 2011, and the albums are just called Sketch 1 through Sketch 9, the songs are, and they are just phenomenal. The way that the man crafts music is just unbelievable. He appears on a lot of records. I know he works with a lot of people, so I'm really looking forward to however this turns out. I'm hoping that it's amazing. Obviously, knowing Brandon Cronenberg, it's probably going to be very violent, which I'm hopeful for. But yeah, I can't wait to see Infinity Pool.
I'm excited for that too. I'm excited to see Infinity Pool and, some of the stuff that, because I mean, Possessor was such a good, smart. It was violent, it was gritty, but it was also so smart, so cerebral. The way how he kind of built the characters in that film. So I know that he has the chops to make some really inventive and otherworldly type films.
Yeah, and also that movie really grew my appreciation more for Andrea Riseborough, who I think does not get enough love.
Not at all.
She was phenomenal in that. Obviously, I've spoken really highly on Christopher Abbott on our podcast. I think that, Christopher Abbott is absolutely incredible as an actor. So I think having an actress like Mia Goth and someone like Skarsgård in this movie, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I'm excited for it as well.
Yeah, so what's next on your list?
Well, we might as well get it out of the way because we all saw the trailer. And I'm excited. April is going to be a loaded month because I am excited for Evil Dead Rise.
Excitement, I don't even think is the right word. I don't think I can express to people, when I say on this podcast and to Ray that Evil Dead 2 is my favorite horror film of all time and one of my favorite films of all time. I love everything about the Evil Dead. And as soon as I watched this trailer, the first thing that went through my head is I was like, holy shit, what a cool concept to make something so scary that it's a mom coming after her kids.
Yeah. Well, and then the thing about it too is that I like that they're not, because we've seen the Deadites. The Deadites always look, especially because I love the TV show as well. But they made the Deadites very comical and disgusting. I feel like now that Evil Dead is taking more of a serious approach, the Deadites are way, way more eerie to look at.
Yes, that scene in the trailer where the kid is looking out the peephole of the door and the mom. I was like, this is Evil Dead. This is what I want. And I love that it hasn't lost its dark humor. You can see it in the trailer. No matter who's working on these Evil Dead movies, which I think it really helps that the original producers are still working on it, because they worked on the Evil Dead remake, and they did a phenomenal job with it. And this movie, just watching the trailer, it felt like an Evil Dead movie.
Yeah, for sure. And I also love that they're kind of sticking to the same formula as the 2013 Evil Dead, that it's more of darker, grittier. I also love that this movie got pushed back because this deserves to be seen on a big screen, not just on HBO Max.
Yeah, and the other thing too is nobody's going to be Sam Raimi. So trying to do it like Sam Raimi would not be the way to go about it. And that's what I loved about the Fede Alvarez one, is that you could feel hints of that humor that Sam Raimi has in his, but it was its own unique thing.
Well, and I also like that it's still getting, because I know a lot of people care about this stuff, which it's dumb that we do, but at the same time, like, it is what it is, that it's getting pushed from Bruce Campbell himself. Like, he himself is pushing this movie because he wants, and that's something that I love about the Evil Dead world, is that, Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell aren't being like, this is our property, leave it alone. It's like they're very much pushing new characters and new actors and new directors and new writers to take on this beloved franchise and to be like, this franchise can still have life beyond us. And I love that they are so on board with that.
I agree. And I think one of the things, too, and why Bruce Campbell is so excited about it and wants to push for it so much is because I think he knows his career wouldn't really exist without the Evil Dead.
Yeah, that is one, like, qualm that I usually have with actors. Like, you have, like, for example, Harrison Ford, who, craps on Han Solo. And I'm like, I get it. You want to be known for something else. But also your career wouldn't exist without these iconic characters.
I think it's funny that he hates Han Solo so much, but that he loves Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I know, that is weird, because it's essentially the same character, except with a vest.
Completely agree.
I love him. I'm not trashing Han Solo. I love both characters, but I do think it's interesting that he hates on the character that made him the household name he is.
Part of me wonders if it's just the experience that he had on set with George Lucas, but hey, he came back and did the rest of them.
Yeah, well, and then that's the thing with Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi, that they're still behind it. I mean, they're still cranking money for them. I mean, they're the executive producers, so they still have love for the franchise, and I do love that I saw on the special features of the Evil Dead 2013, they were interviewing Bruce Campbell. And he talks about how he's getting too old to be getting bathed in blood every day. And he's also like, you're never going... Well, when Fede Alvarez said this, Fede Alvarez was like, you're not going to bring Ash. Like, you can't recreate Ash. So why...
Exactly. You need to do something.
So why try? And that's where Evil Dead succeeded. They kept the spirit of the franchise, but breathing new characters. I also like that it's not like an Evil Dead 2013 sequel, that it's not Mia. It's another set of characters. Because now the Evil Dead world can be its own independent stories that all revolve around the Necronomicon. And I am so excited for that concept.
I'm also glad they've left the cabin in the woods.
Yeah. It's
do something new.
Do something new. And I mean, I was a little weirded out when they said that it was going to take place in the city. But now I'm like, oh man, like, imagine releasing that into a city. But from the trailer, at least, it looks like it's still going to be a pretty claustrophobic movie.
It looks very contained, which I'm glad about. Like, I think putting it in the city is cool, but I think if you got to where it's like a epidemic of evil creatures running throughout the city, then it would turn too much like a zombie movie. And I don't think that's ever what Evil Dead wanted to be. As much as you can compare the Deadites to zombies, I feel like it's always been its own thing. And so putting it in the city but keeping it contained, I think, is a good approach.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm really excited for Evil Dead Rise.
I can't wait for it either. Well, I'll transition into my next movie, which will make you laugh. But the reason why I brought this up is because I just brought up Mr. Brandon Cronenberg. And I think it's really cool that for the first time this year, David Cronenberg's daughter is going to be releasing a movie, Miss Caitlin Cronenberg, and that is the movie Humane.
I think you mentioned this briefly at one point, but I don't know much about it.
So I'll read you the description. It says, in the wake of an environmental collapse that has forced humanity to shed 20% of its population, a family dinner erupts into chaos when a father's plan to enlist in the government's new euthanasia program goes horribly awry. And it stars Jay Baruchel.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to say this right now. I know we've never seen anything from Caitlin Cronenberg, but I have a feeling that she's going to take in her family's footsteps because that plot sounds wild.
Yeah, no, and that sounds wild. And then she has, I know that everybody wants to live beyond their parents' name, but, between Brendan and David, she has to have some form of influence from them.
Yes, completely agree. I feel like that it, if you're in that family and you've seen the way movies are, you probably are like, I want to be my own voice, I want to do my own thing, but I think at the same time, it's hard to completely turn your back on it.
Yeah, no, it's hard. So I'm excited, especially because that sounds like a very Cronenbergian. I feel like that's going to become a thing soon. Concept.
Oh, for sure. And like I said, I mean, you give me all the Cronenberg content you want, and I'm gonna watch it because if there's one thing everyone knows about Ray and I out there, it's we like weird shit. So
Yeah, that's
yes,
putting it mildly.
I don't have much more to say about it because I don't know much more about it. But I'm very excited to see it.
Well, if you don't mind, there's another one that I wanted to bring up, and this movie is another movie that I don't know much about, but I think it's worth bringing it up because, as people know, we are fans of supporting small, up and coming directors, and we like you said it perfectly on the last episode. We are never actively rooting against things. We are excited to see other voices come out. So I am really excited because I feel like we've all been there. We all started in his same shoes. And I just can't, help but to praise Mr. Chris Stuckman for his directorial debut, Shelby Oaks.
I really quickly just want to say that I commend Chris for one thing, and that is he has been in this game for a long time. He's been reviewing movies on YouTube for like 10 plus years. And I think it really takes a lot to be in that seat where you are one of the most watched YouTube movie critics and say, I'm going to make a movie. Because I feel like you are going to be under fire of some of the hottest criticism that's ever existed.
100%. So I am going out. If this movie, I hope this movie gets a theatrical release because I will drive. If I know it's going to be a small film, so I will drive to Salt Lake City, which is like 45 minutes away, to go check it out, to support his film. He has been a very important role model in a sense to me because I feel like before I met you, Nate, and before I got an opportunity to start this podcast with you, my only outlet to be able to digest film was watching him. So being able to watch his movies and watching him go from like really low budget videos to what he's doing now, it's commendable, and I'm excited to see what he does. I think he has done a really good job at understanding film and understanding what makes people tick. I love that he kind of stepped away from film criticism because he realized, you know what, making films is hard, and I want to focus on pushing that. And I by no means have any aspirations of becoming a director. I don't, but at the same time, like, his story has been so endearing to watch that I just can't help but to root for the guy to hopefully wow us with Shelby Oaks. I don't know much about the movie other than it's like a supernatural horror film, but I'm really excited just to see what, after years of film analysis, I'm excited to see what he can come up with.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how it turns out, and I'm hopeful that it's really great, and I hope that it gets a good response. I think he's got enough people who really love him that it'll do well, even if it's just on streaming. But I hope that it does get recognition and that people really enjoy it, because Chris seems like a really charming guy. Also a fellow Ohio dude. So I'm always, whenever somebody like that says, hey, I want to go for it, I want to make something, like, I'm always going to root for them. It doesn't matter.
The last thing I just want to add about that conversation is, I know I am nowhere near in his spectrum, but watching someone like Chris Stuckman make a film, it feels like he's one of us. He's like the nerdy kid that grew up watching movies, and he just happened to knew how to work it out where he can make his own. But, this is not a Spielberg story. This is not a Christopher Nolan story where they're like, and I'm sure they have their story, but Chris Stuckman feels like he's one of us, which is why I'm rooting for him so hard.
Yes, 100% I agree. He feels like one of the average Joes that's going out of the way to make something because he's passionate about it, and you got to root for people like that.
So, I don't know much about the plot, and I kind of like that I don't. But I just wanted to give Chris a shout out because I feel like we need to support the average Joe trying to make something interesting.
Apparently I'm his clone or something.
Wait, I'm not interviewing Chris?
I guess not. Literally everyone on the internet that watches any of my YouTube comments, I got to get at least one that says, "Are you and Chris Stuckman related?" Like every single time. It cracks me up.
Do live like 10 minutes away from each other.
That's true. So really quickly, I wanted to give you two movies back to back really quick because I don't need to spend a whole lot of time on them. But I love horror.
No.
Really, and I love anything in the horror realm.
No.
And I always get excited for horror sequels. So I am very excited that in the same year I'm getting Scream 6 and Saw 10.
Oh god.
I honestly cannot I thought Scream 5 was good. I didn't think it was great. I think it's really difficult when you lose a legend like Wes Craven. I think it's really hard whenever you lose someone with that much pull. I think the first four Scream movies are phenomenal. I love all four of them. I thought 5 did a really good job. They tried a little too hard to shoehorn in the legacy characters from the franchise, and I'm glad that most of them are not going to be in this new movie. I'm really happy about that. Like, put these characters that you brought in Scream 5 that are the new characters and base it around them. And also, like Evil Dead Rise, it's all taking place in downtown New York. Which I think there's something really scary about a mass killer coming after you in a really crowded city.
So you're excited for Ghostface Takes Manhattan?
Yes, I can't wait. Hopefully he actually does take Manhattan, unlike the stupid Friday the 13th movie where Jason's only in New York for 10 minutes. I hate that shit. And then Saw 10... Saw is my guilty pleasure franchise. Saw, I think what's funny about Saw to me, and have you seen any of them, Ray?
Saw, I've seen the first 3.
Yeah, so I was someone growing up in a really conservative background that everyone told me that the Saw movies were like these evil torture porn pieces. And just last year, I watched all of them, and I can safely say that they are the stupidest soap opera type of movies I've ever watched in my life. Like, they don't scare me, they make me laugh. Like, almost every Saw movie, because, like, I'm sure you can tell from the first 3 movies, the last 20 minutes, they throw in, like, the craziest plot twists that make no sense. And I love it. They're like, oh, this has been getting dull. We're going to throw a random character and bring him back to life. Like, they're so stupid. My favorite Saw movies are 2, 3, and 4.
Really? I legitimately enjoyed the first one, and I thought 2 and 3 were cool, but I just got exhausted.
They get dumber and funnier. And like everyone hated Saw 3D. I thought it was one of the funniest movies I've ever watched. I laughed like the whole hour and a half. So Saw 10, I'm hoping it's the same creative team because they're dumb schlock that makes me laugh. If you take those movies seriously, I don't really know what to tell you. They're clearly not meant to be taken seriously. But I'm excited for it. I just thought I'd bring them both up.
Well, that's cool. Maybe
Gotta bring up the horror stuff.
Maybe I need to check out the rest of the Scream movies.
Dude, Scream is a phenomenal franchise, and I will tell, like, I love them.
I really like the first one. Don't get me wrong. I like the first Scream. Scream is one of those franchises that I just stopped watching them for no other reason that I stopped watching them. But I actually enjoyed the first one.
Well, and that's the thing. Wes Craven is one of the most clever filmmakers to ever live. And so the movies are always satire on the horror genre, which is what makes them so entertaining, that they poke fun of the genre that they exist in, which is something I always really respect. That's Scream and Saw. I had to bring them up because I love those franchises. But what else are you excited for?
Well, Nate, it is not a proper year in film history for Ray without a little Nick Cage in his life.
Oh, we're talking Renfield, aren't we?
Oh my goodness, Renfield. That's why I told you at the beginning of the episode that I wanted to save it for the episode itself, because I didn't want to spend 30 seconds talking about Renfield.
I watched the trailer yesterday for the first time, and I laughed the whole time.
Also, like, don't get me wrong, I love me some Nick Cage. But Nicholas Hoult, man, that kid's hilarious.
He looks like he's going to do a great job. I also love whatever this lore is that they've brought in of, like, whatever he's taking to give himself these powers.
Well, in the lore of Dracula, Dracula gives Renfield the ability. He tells him, "Did you ever see Dracula Dead and Loving It?"
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's like It's basically a spoof on Bram Stoker's Dracula with Leslie Nielsen as Dracula.
Oh yeah, okay. I may have seen that when I was like 10 or 11.
So he tells. Apparently he gives Renfield the ability. He lets Renfield take lives, but he's like, you will not take big lives. You will take small lives like insects. So what you see him eat is an insect. So he can eat insects, and obviously in the story of Bram Stoker, that's just like he's eating insects type of thing. But on this one, it looks like he gives them like superpowers.
Oh, I know, it's hilarious. The fight sequences look super choreographed. The thing I'm going to be interested in, just from watching the trailer, how much of the movie are we thinking Nick Cage is actually going to be in?
Yeah, I have a feeling that Nick Cage is not the focal point of it at all.
No, because the trailer didn't seem to have a lot of him in it. And I also want to shout out quickly, too, someone in the movie who I've really grown to enjoy over the past couple years is Awkwafina.
Yeah, she's done really well for herself.
She's hilarious, and I'm really excited that she's in that movie. I think she provides really great comedic levity in whatever she's in. I really love that A24 movie she was in, The Farewell. I thought she was fantastic in it. I think that she's a really talented actress. And so when I saw her in the trailer, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. Like, and you know that even if Nick Cage is only in it for 15 minutes, you know the movie's still going to be fun. And I'm excited for it.
Well, and I'm just looking up some of the stuff about the movie, and it looks like it's directed by Chris McKay, who also directed the Batman Lego movie.
Interesting, which any of those Lego movies have been really entertaining in my opinion.
Yeah, they're funny. I wonder if they're gonna go for an. Oh, okay. I just looked it up. I was worried that it was gonna be a PG-13, but I was like, this could. But it looks like it's an R-rated movie, which I think R-rated comedy is, when done properly, is so like amazing. So I'm excited. I know Nicolas Cage is funny. I kind of hope he channels some of his Kiss of the Vampire.
Yeah.
In this.
Me too.
And I love that it's a comedy, like, because I feel like, I don't know, people are probably going to try to think like, oh, he's too silly, but Nicolas Cage, I feel like he finally found his niche over these past few years of what he's supposed to be, what he is understood for. I feel like he was a misunderstood actor for a long time, so I'm excited. Obviously, it looks like it's going to be very Nicholas Hoult centric, which I'm okay with. I love Nicholas Hoult, but I think they're going to have really good chemistry, and it looks hilarious. And if you haven't seen the trailer, go watch it because it looks amazing.
I agree. Well, my next movie is from a director that I always get excited whenever he makes a movie, and I'm very glad that he's stepping away from the big budget projects that he's been working on to go back to telling independent films with great character writing, and that's Taika Waititi's new film, Next Goal Wins.
Oh, I had no idea he had a new one coming out.
Yeah, so it's coming out this year, and it stars none other than Michael Fassbender. It's Michael Fassbender, Elizabeth Moss, and Will Arnett, produced by Andy Serkis.
What a cast.
Yeah, and the movie it says Dutch coach Thomas Rongen attempts the nearly impossible task of turning the American Samoa soccer team from losers to winners.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't talk about it very much, but I'm a sucker for like heartwarming sports movies. I don't know why. I've always enjoyed them. And Taika, I feel like no matter what this movie is, his brand of humor is going to have to come through at some point.
Well, and then when you have someone like Will Arnett, who we know for his comedic levity, and then Fassbender can be really funny. I mean, I don't know if you've seen Frank yet, but Fassbender can be really funny.
I haven't. I really need to. I'm actually excited because a reoccurring character that's in almost all of Taika Waititi's movies, Rhys Darby, is going to be in it, and he cracks me up in everything that he's in.
What has he done with Taika?
So he was in Hunt for the Wilder People. He was the guy that was kind of living out in the middle of
nowhere. Bushman?
Yes. My favorite role that Rhys Darby's done is in the in the Jim Carrey movie Yes Man, when he's the one hosting the party and making everybody watch all the Harry Potter movies.
Oh my gosh. Also, like, he was hilarious because he was the swear wolf as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I love that man. Yeah, he's hilarious.
He's also a voice in Arthur Christmas.
Well, there's that.
But yeah, I love Taika. I think, like, obviously, you know, he's got himself, he sold his soul to Disney. So Christ only knows how many projects he's going to be doing for them. But like when the dude is doing a really independent character dramas, like Hunt for the Wilder People is one of my favorite movies I've ever seen. I love Jojo Rabbit. I love Boy. Like every single movie he's released has just been so incredible. And so knowing that he's getting back into like this type of storytelling gets me very excited.
Oh yeah, me too. I had no idea he had a new film coming out, so this makes me even more excited, especially hearing that cast and that concept.
Not to mention, I know you're someone who doesn't care about sports unless it's pertaining to football, or as us Americans call it, soccer. And so that'll be cool to see. And obviously, you know, Taika always does a great job with like films that are really culturally specific. Like Boy really focused on where he grew up in New Zealand, and I think he always pays really great homage to wherever he's focusing his film. So I think like seeing a film about American Samoan soccer players will be really cool.
That's gonna be cool. Yeah, I'm excited. Also, like there has been a huge craze of football over in like some of these Pacific islands. Australia had a solid run in the World Cup, so they're definitely going to capitalize a little bit on that craze going on. So I'm excited.
100%. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that because I love Taika.
So on that note, on the sillier note, a movie that I wanted to bring up that I'm really excited to watch, and it's coming out real soon. So I'm not gonna have to wait too long for this one. I have committed my entire group of friends of going to the theaters and watch with me on opening day, and that is the true compelling story of Cocaine Bear.
Dude. So Jess and I went to the theater to see The Menu, and that trailer was before The Menu, and I was like, I'm sold. I want to see this really bad.
And I want to see it in theaters. I'm not going to do the whole like, oh, wait till streaming. No, I want to see this in theaters.
Yeah, the only thing that makes me a little hesitant about it, unfortunately, is that Elizabeth Banks is directing it, and so far her track record as a director has not been the greatest.
I'm interested what else she's directed.
Yeah, I got to pull it up, but I know that whatever her last film was that came out was a flop. It was the Charlie's Angels reboot with Kristen Stewart.
Ooh, yeah, that is rough.
And she also directed Pitch Perfect 2 or 3, one of the sequels, and she also directed a segment on Movie 43. So her track record has not been the greatest, but I do think like there isn't, I think other than Kerry Russell and poor Ray Liotta, this is probably going to be one of the last movies that he was in before he passed away.
No, he actually has 1, 2, 3. He has 4 more after Cocaine Bear.
Oh, thank goodness. Could you imagine this being the one that comes out? Like, this is the movie I'm going to be remembered for.
Yeah, see, like, at least Anton Yelchin went out with a banger.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it'll be stupid. And that's all we want from a movie about a bear that did a bunch of cocaine.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, this is a movie that I'm going solely because I want to get a bunch of people together and just laugh.
Yeah, 100%. I wish I lived in Utah because this would be one I'd love to go see with you.
Oh, it would be amazing. But yeah, like, I mean, what can I say about a movie titled Cocaine Bear that already doesn't give the plot?
Exactly. Well,
but I just wanted to bring it up because I think it's, just so people know, we don't take ourselves too seriously over here at the Film Monsters podcast.
No, we like all kinds of movies. We watch all kinds of stuff. I mean, did anybody think I was gonna love Puss in Boots as much as I ended up loving it? No. But sometimes you're surprised by things. Well, my next movie is one that, Ray, you'll probably poke fun at me a little bit, but I really don't care. As a lot of you out there are very well...
Nate, I just brought up Cocaine Bear. The bar has been established.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. As some of you may or may not know, I don't know how much I've put this out there about myself on the internet. I am a Disney fanatic. In a way that, like, I'm not, like, so obsessed, but I love Disney. I travel to the Disney parks quite frequently, and I have a lot of fun with that. And I am an obsessive about the Haunted Mansion. So I cannot wait to see the Disney Haunted Mansion movie this year.
Who's directing it?
So it's a director named Justin Simeon. That's where I'm conflicted because Disney, I will forever hold it over your heads that you did not give this property to Guillermo del Toro, who literally has an entire wing of his house dedicated to this ride. And I'm also a little scared that one of the main characters is Jared Leto, because I'm not a big Jared Leto fan, but Owen Wilson is in this movie. It scares me because this is a beloved Disney property, and the last time that this thing was tried to be tackled was that Eddie Murphy movie, and it was horrible.
Oh no.
It was just like, it was one of the worst things I've ever watched. I hated it, and I'm going to try and stay optimistic. I don't have a lot of hope, but I just wanted to mention it because I'm a Disney fan. I want to watch this movie. The Haunted Mansion. You catch me at your local Columbus, Ohio theater opening weekend in my full Haunted Mansion getup. Have you ever ridden that ride?
Oh man. Have I? Yes.
So you know when you first go in and you ride in that elevator and there's those stretching portraits at the beginning? I have those in my stairway of my house.
Oh, of course you do.
They're as tall as me. My
as we all know, you're 8'11".
That's true. I'm 8'11". I have a lot of Haunted Mansion stuff in my house. I'm not ashamed. So yeah, Haunted Mansion. That's my next pick.
Hey, you know what? We all gotta have our thing. So for my next pick, I'm gonna also pull a double feature on you, because I don't know jack about either one, but it's Wes Anderson. So of course I'm excited for Asteroid City and the wonderful story of Henry Sugar.
Are they both supposed to come out next year? Because what an insane thing for Wes.
They're both slated for 2023.
That's nuts. I knew Asteroid City was coming out next year, but I didn't know about the other one. But goddamn, if I am not excited to see Tom Hanks in a Wes Anderson movie.
And I'm excited to see Benedict Cumberbatch and Ray Fiennes on the Wes Anderson movie.
Yeah, and Margot Robbie. The thing is, like, Wes can do whatever he wants. It doesn't really matter. And also, the Asteroid City plot sounds amazing.
Well, and it's co-written by who is it? It's co-written by Roman Coppola.
Oh yeah, which Roman Coppola directed one of my least favorite A24 movies.
I mean, I never said he was perfect.
Did you see A Glimpse into the Mind of Charles Swan III? It is horrible. I honestly almost turned it off and was like, wait, I'm doing this for my first episode of my A24 series on YouTube. I have to watch it.
Can you imagine you just get up and you're like, so this movie I turned off.
Yeah,
Thanks
there has been, since I started watching A24's catalog from start to finish, there's like 5 movies in their catalog that I almost did that with. But I was like, no, I got to stick it out and finish them.
But yeah, like Wes Anderson, I will always go watch Wes Anderson, whatever he does. So of course I'm excited. So I'm excited for the double feature that he hopefully will be putting out later this year.
What would be really awesome is if they came out the same day.
Oh my gosh! Well, one of them is going directly to Netflix, I think.
Oh, that's wild for Wes. I would never see. I doubt that's Asteroid City because I feel like
no, Henry Sugar is going to Netflix.
I was gonna say a Tom Hanks movie ain't no way. Tom's like, dude, if I'm gonna be in a Wes Anderson movie, you're putting this shit in the theater.
I don't know. I mean, But speaking of Tom Hanks, he's got a few coming out too, doesn't he?
Yeah, he had one that just came out. I can't remember. It's called something about Otto.
Oh, like the grumpy guy?
Yeah, which like Tom Hanks is in those like grandpa's cigar smoking party movies now. He's just like, I want to do a movie that I can sit most of the time.
Look, he saw Robert De Niro do the grandpa movie, The Dirty Grandpa. He's like, you know what? He's onto something.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'm excited for both Wes Anderson movies. I'm right there with you. I cannot wait for those.
Yeah, I'm excited. Again, I don't know much about him other than it's Wes Anderson and I'm there.
I completely agree. Well, I know you and I both love A24. And last night, I actually saw 2 A24 trailers to movies I knew nothing about that both of them look great, and I'm very excited to see both of them. And I'll just quickly mention them because I don't really know much about them other than the trailers I saw. But the first one was called Showing Up from director Kelly Reichardt. And it was a movie starring Michelle Williams about this like struggling artist just trying to find her way in the world. And if any of you out there know anything about me, character dramas, like I'm a sucker for them. It also looked really funny. I'm excited about it. And then there was this trailer to a foreign film produced by A24 called Close, about these two like 13 or 14-year-old kids in high school that like they're super close friends. They love each other. They spend all their time together. And people at school start calling them gay and start treating them really horribly. And it like throws like a wrench in their relationship. And it looked really beautiful and like it was going to be a really intense movie. And A24 just keeps coming out with the bangers. Keep hitting me with those character dramas. I'm all for it. So I saw both of those trailers last night and I thought they both looked great, so I thought I would mention them on here.
Good. I'm excited. A24 is one of the... Well, in A24, we've talked about our frustration that A24 sometimes doesn't promote the movies the way that they probably should be. So I'm excited. Hopefully they don't get dumped in some random streaming service and never talked about.
Like that Causeway movie with Jennifer Lawrence. Like, don't just dump shit on streaming. That Funny Pages movie that came out this year, like, you guys need to put some more faith in your movies because they're all really good. I mean, you could have theatrically released both of those over bodies bullshit. Like, I throw that on a streaming service. Kids are the ones watching that anyway.
Is it the kids that are wrong?
Yeah, they are. Fuck them kids. Yeah, so what else you got for me? Yeah,
calling us that we were born in the 1900s.
Right, what do you got for me up next?
I think the next one I want to bring up, and you know, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about this movie because we earlier were talking about Disney movies, and I'm actually pretty excited to watch the Peter Pan and Wendy directed by David Lowery.
This was actually on my list to talk about, so I'm really glad you brought it up. Peter Pan was one of my favorite animated movies as a very young kid. Obviously, I am very well aware as to how problematic the stuff with the Native American characters are in that movie now. But it is a movie that meant a lot to me as a child. I think it really gives you that optimism about youth and growing up. And there's something about that property that is so amazing that I feel like every director that has tried to do it over the years again just can't get the tone right. So I'm hoping David Lowery, with how amazing of a job he does with these fantastical worlds, is able to give us something really special.
Well, and then David Lowery, it's interesting because out of my favorite adaptation, like these like live action adaptations that Disney has done, most of them haven't been great, but I unapologetically really like Pete's Dragon, so I know that he has the chops to do some really cool stuff with the source material that Disney gives him.
It's just how much does Disney let him do? And that's what I think a lot of it's going to be, because this is a really beloved property. And for some reason, Disney doesn't want anyone to take any creative liberties with any of their properties. And they're just like, oh, stick to the source material completely. And I don't know. I think if you give David Lowery the ability to do what he wants to do, it'll be something really special.
I hope that they give him... I hope that he's proved himself, competent enough. I mean, he obviously has to the people that enjoy his films, but I feel like Disney still isn't giving him everything he needs. So I hope that they finally get off their high horse and let him do what he's supposed to.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. 1,000%. Well, I quickly want to mention another A24 movie, and this is supposedly slated for this year, but I don't know if it's going to come out. And the reason why I wanted to mention it is because I am obviously a huge fan of indie sad girl music, and this is a movie directed by Jane Schoenbrunn, who directed a movie from this year that I really loved called We're All Going to the World's Fair. That was a really quiet analog horror movie that was really unlike anything I'd ever seen. And so Jane has a movie coming out with A24 called I Saw the TV Glow. And the reason why I said I'm a fan of sad girl music is two of the lead characters are Phoebe Bridgers and
There it is.
and Lindsay Jordan from the band Snail Mail, and also Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit.
That took a turn.
Yeah, so and it's produced by Emma Stone. And so I'm really excited. I like, there's barely even a plot description other than it's about two girls who become obsessed with some TV series, and then it gets canceled and their lives start to like blow up into this insanity. And so to me, that's enough to like draw me in. Like, that We're All Going to the World's Fair movie that Jane Schoenbrunn directed. Jane is a transgender woman who really, like, you could tell with a lot of the themes in that film had a lot to do with identity and like understanding your identity, and it came through really well in that movie. And so I'm really excited that with the success of that A24 is giving Jane the chance to put something else out there, and I'm really excited for it.
That should be cool then. I'll be excited to check that out.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that one quickly. That's all my A24 ones. All the ones that I have left are going to be bigger budget movies that I'm excited for. There's all my indie stuff.
I have, I just have a kind of a page open here and I'm scrolling through it. One of the ones that I'm really excited for, and that one I only have to wait about a month longer. And I'm an apologist for this man, and
it's M. Night Shyamalan! I knew it was coming. I actually have a bone to pick with this movie after you tell everyone what it's about.
Well, Knock at the Cabin?
What it is.
Knock at the Cabin?
Yes. So here's my bone to pick. I'm a huge book nerd, and I love to read books. This is based off of a book from an author that I really love named Paul Tremblay.
Is it really?
Yes, and he is incredibly talented. He writes amazing books. Really just an incredible author. And they have not marketed that it's based on his book at all.
I had no idea it was based on a book.
Yes, and I'm really upset because he's so talented. His work does not get enough exposure. I think I've seen one poster that it was like in the bottom. But he has a book called The Cabin at the End of the World, and all these characters and the themes of the movie are based directly off of that. And so I wish that they would give him some credit. He doesn't seem to be like super upset about it on the internet, but like, guys, if you're going to make a movie based on somebody's work, shout him out. Like, give him some credit for it.
Yeah, I guess I had no clue it was based on the book.
But I saw the trailer for the very first time last night, and it looks awesome.
It looks cool. Like, oh yeah, there it is. The Cabin at the End of the World. Yeah, it looks cool. Like, I'm really excited. I will always give Shyamalan a shot because I believe Shyamalan has his heart in the right place. He really is trying to make original stories. The execution sometimes isn't the best. But he's always trying to do really, really cool concepts that we're not seeing. And I think one of the reasons why I'm also so excited is because Shyamalan is not the sole screenplay writer in this one. He's actually getting help from other people. Same also as a producer, he's not the sole producer, which the reason why I like that is because I think we've discussed that Shyamalan is great when he's not putting on like 3,000 different hats.
I completely agree with that.
His best work is when he's not trying to take on everything by himself.
Exactly. It's like let loose a little bit, let other people take over some stuff. Also, Dave Bautista's character has such a unique look in that movie.
Dave Bautista, I'm actually excited to see Rupert Grint as well.
So am I.
I think he did a great job on the show Servant, so I'm excited to see him step out of just the same. Like, I'm happy when I see these like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings actors do other more unique works, because I feel like they get pigeonholed. So I'm excited to see Rupert Grint come out more. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing much that I can say. I mean, the movie comes out literally in a month, and I will always give independent and unique writers a chance, even if the execution isn't great. Like, I know people hated on Old. And yeah, it had its flaws, but at the same time, it was a cool concept. Just the execution was a little messy.
Man, scored by Mid-Size Sedan? I can't believe it. That makes me want to watch this movie even more.
He's actually Mid-Sized Dan actually has a cameo in it.
I can't. That movie, I gotta say, that movie was some dumb fun schlock. That's what I would say about Old. What I was disappointed me about Old was like the ending was really cool. I liked the reveal, but I was like, God, everybody is hamming up their performance so much in this movie. Like
That's what I'm saying. It's like
seriously.
Old was a cool concept done very messily. But yeah, I don't have much else to add about Knock at the Cabin other than I'm excited to watch it.
Yes, I'm going to watch it as well. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Well, I don't have too many more. I think I've got like 3 more that maybe I want to talk about, 3 or 4. But this next one I want to bring up is one that I wouldn't say that I'm excited for. I'm cautiously optimistic, and that is the David Gordon Green remake of The Exorcist.
Oh.
Yeah, with how I was kind of hit or miss with those Halloween remakes, I don't know how to feel about someone trying to take on literally one of the greatest horror properties that's ever existed. I'm hoping that it's not like exactly a copy and paste of the original. Like, I don't want that. Like, do something new. And then the other thing that scares me is Mr. Jason Blum is attached to it, and Jason Blum is also a very hit or miss producer for me. Some of his movies are great, and some of them are trash, but as someone who loves horror, I'm hopeful.
Yeah, I mean, I'll still give it a chance, but it might not be...
That's a rough one to take on. Like, do you really want to try to do that? Like, The Exorcist is probably considered one of the greatest horror films of all time. That would be like someone coming out and saying, I'm going to remake The Shining. Like, do you really want to remake a movie that is a pinnacle classic? I don't think so.
No, you're really putting a target on your back on that one.
Yeah, like I said, cautiously optimistic.
Because here's the thing, you can end up with a Firestarter or with a Suspiria.
Exactly. It just depends. And I hope that David Gordon Green goes into this one a little bit more like he did with Halloween Ends, where he's like, okay, fuck the source material, fuck all that. I want to bring my own unique ideas to this project. And I hope that he does that.
Or it could stick to the source material, because I've heard that The Exorcist, the book, has a lot, like, they left out so much out of the book on that movie.
Well, and it looks like the plot description on Letterboxd says that it's going to deal with Reagan's daughter, which that's sticking a little, like, that makes it feel like it's more of a sequel to the original, but hopefully...
Which might be the smart thing to do.
But maybe do it in the style of Evil Dead 2013, where you keep it more of like a spiritual sequel, less of a direct thing. Like, I don't want it to be... Don't make it Pazuzu again. We've already been there. Do something new.
Which might have the potential to piss off a lot of people, but I think he proved that he doesn't care about that.
Clearly. Which is fine, because I loved Halloween Ends. I'm an unapologetic lover of Halloween Ends. So, but yeah, so The Exorcist, I'm cautiously optimistic.
So for my next one then, I have no idea. This could have the potential to be terrible. This could have the potential to be great. But I think this young man has proven himself to be competent enough that I'm excited to see Timothée Chalamet as Willy Wonka.
Yeah, I am too. I think I've really grown accustomed to Mr. Chalamet. I think that he has proved himself as an actor. And from what I remember, there's some really incredible talent surrounded him in this movie. I think Sally Hawkins is in it, Olivia Colman, Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean himself. A lot of really great talent involved. It'll just be interesting, like, do you think they'll keep it more of like a straightforward narrative, or do you think they'll actually try to add music into it?
Well, it says it's a musical.
Now, see, that's awesome. If there's music in it, I'm there.
And it looks pretty cool. And I mean, and it's the director of both Paddingtons.
Yep, it'll be a masterpiece. You don't even have to say anything else. Both of the Paddington films are masterpieces in my
Did they make you want to be a better person?
Yeah, it made Nick Cage smooch good. This was also on my list. I'm looking forward to it. I with these types of things that are attached to existing properties, I'm always kind of like, but with how much talent is attached to this one, hopefully it's good.
Yeah, no, there's tons of talent, so I am legitimately excited for it. Especially seeing that it's the same director as the Paddington movies. And Timothée Chalamet, who I think when they originally announced Timothée Chalamet, I was a little hesitant. But after having seen him on other films that have come out in the past couple of years, I'm like, no, we're good.
Well, my next movie is a movie that I think we're both very excited for. I cannot wait. And that is the sequel to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
That looks legitimately fun. Like, it looks like a great time.
And here's the only thing I will say. I'm a little scared that it's not the same directors as the first one.
Ooh, that can be proven to be a little... yeah.
I'm hoping that maybe they, had something to do with it. They brought back a lot of the original cast, which is great. The animation still looks beautiful. I'm sure that they will hopefully approach it in a similar methodology, but I think Spider-Verse is probably one of my favorite Spider-Man movies.
It's probably my favorite Spider-Man movie.
It's just, I feel like it focused a lot more on the character of Spider-Man, and I liked, I loved Peter Parker. Peter Parker was what got me into comic books, but I loved that they looked at Miles Morales. I think it was really cool to bring in a new character, that it's not like the same thing we're seeing over and over and over again.
Also, Nate, you know why that one's my favorite one, right?
Oh, why is it your favorite one?
Because it has Nicolas Cage in it.
Oh, of course, because it had Nicolas Cage in it. I thought you were going to say that it was because of the pig Spider-Man.
He was a close second.
Yeah, it was just a fun movie. I loved it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think all the voice actors in the original one were great. Really looking forward to see what this one feels like. I'm just hoping that tonally it stays pretty consistent. I know Oscar Isaac's doing a voice in this, Jason Schwartzman, Brian Tyree Henry's back again. A lot of great talented voice actors. I don't see Nicolas Cage's name on here, which bums me out a little bit, but
He's Dracula this year.
Yeah, he's Renfield. No, he's Dracula, not Renfield. Renfield is Nicholas Hoult. So yeah, that's all. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I'm excited.
Believe it or not, I didn't think I would say this, but I am saying this. I'm really excited for Greta Gerwig's Barbie.
That was another one on my list. I agree. I am very excited for that because also like Noah Baumbach being a co-writer, I just. What is this movie gonna be? I feel like if they go at it through a really satirical lens, that it'll be really great. I hope it's not just like a straightforward, we're just gonna do the same thing that we would do in any type of these movies. I hope that they really go for something unique and original.
That's the thing, though. It's not just Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig. You also have Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling, who I love both of those so much. I love America Ferrera. And then Michael Cera apparently is in it. You have Will Ferrell. It's also riddled with a lot of talent.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of talented people involved. I love Mr. Ryan Gosling. I'm excited to see him doing things again, and I hope that this one's a lot of fun. I feel like it will be. But I'm right there with you. I'm really excited about this one. I hope that Miss Gerwig pulls it off.
So... yeah, I don't have much to say on that. I'm excited about it.
Well, I know one of the ones I stole from you, and that's going to be this one right here, and that is Mr. Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 2.
That was one out of the two that I had left.
Yeah, I knew you were going to talk about that one. That was the last one I wanted to talk about. I did not watch Dune until the first time last year. I was obsessed with it. I cannot wait, and also, as Ray has mentioned multiple times, poking fun at me, it stars... Miss Florence Pugh, who I would watch anything that she is in, and I am very excited for this movie. I think that the first one was flawless. I thought it was an amazing science fiction film, and I'm excited to see the story completed.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I think Villeneuve, I read the book Dune. I don't know if you've read the book.
I haven't. It's been on my list to read for a while.
He did as good of a job as we could have had. He obviously, just like any adaptation, you had to cut some stuff out and add some stuff. and I think he did as much as he could to stay as faithful as possible to the novel. So I'm excited to see how it's going to pan out as well.
Yeah, that's I can't wait for it. I'm really excited, and I just wanted to mention it real quick.
Yeah, no, I think we're all excited. So I want to end. On one last one. And this is going to close the cycle that I opened at the beginning of of Mr. Joaquin Phoenix, because he is working with Ridley Scott to do a historical drama on Napoleon.
Interesting.
And he is playing Napoleon Bonaparte. It's being directed by Ridley Scott, who, however you feel about Ridley Scott, I think he's been really good. He's really good with those like epic historical stuff that he does. So I really enjoy the stuff that he's done. I know Kingdom of Heaven got a bad rep, but I really enjoy Kingdom of Heaven. So I think I'm really excited to see Joaquin Phoenix and Ridley Scott team up, and then him playing Napoleon, which we all know Napoleon isn't the nicest person, and Joaquin Phoenix is really good at playing a jerk.
Would you say that he has a short fuse?
A little bit.
We're idiots.
We do it for the laughs. We do this for the laughs.
Hey, so is Joaquin Phoenix just going to play every historical figure? Didn't he play Jesus a couple years ago?
Yeah, which I still need to see that.
Yeah, he's just like going down the line. I can't wait till he tries to outdo DDL and play Lincoln.
So I'm excited to see it. I love Joaquin Phoenix, obviously, and I don't dislike Ridley Scott. I think he has had some duds, but I mostly really enjoy him. And between Beau is Afraid and Napoleon, I'm excited to have a double feature year for Joaquin Phoenix.
I'd rather see Joaquin Phoenix play like a talking xenomorph.
Oh God!
like just in the costume doing his regular Joaquin. No, I want him to play his character from Her as a xenomorph.
Oh God!
That's a movie I would pay. I would pay thousands of dollars to watch Joaquin Phoenix in like the most quiet and collected voice play a xenomorph.
Just like the friendliest xenomorph.
Oh no, I'm just feeling a little bit lonely. I just want to eat people.
I'll do you one better though. Him being Theodore Twombly from Her, but has sudden bursts of laughter like Arthur Fleck on Joker.
Oh my God. That is a movie I would pay thousands of dollars to watch.
So Napoleon, directed by Ridley Scott with the talent of Joaquin Phoenix.
They're saying it's going to be a little long. So there's our list of the movies that we're the most excited to see in 2023. I feel like we covered a wide array of genres and topics.
Yeah, and movies that I had even no clue that were coming out. I'm excited. I feel like I'm very prepared for this year.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm really glad that we were able to cover the movies that we wanted to cover, and I'm really excited about it. So I wanted to quickly mention, because Ray and I are excited about the year. We were talking about those movies, and our last couple of episodes we talked about our favorite films of 2022, and I saw a lot of people on Twitter and online talking about this, and they were asking what their favorite films of the decade were so far. So what I thought would be fun is if in the next episode Ray and I talk about the years 2020 and 2021, and we give our top 5 favorite movies from both of those years, just because I thought it would be fun to see where we line up, because I know that our top 5 list, at least a couple of the movies aligned really close, so I'll be really cool to see where we end up as far as those other years are concerned.
Yeah, that's going to be cool. I'm excited to check that out.
Yeah, I always find it really interesting, because I think it's cool when we have a lot of overlap, but I also think it's cool when we don't have a lot of overlap, because in those type of circumstances, you've opened me up to watch a lot of movies that I would never have even thought to have checked out, which I'm hoping is the case for this as well.
So we're doing our top 5 of both years.
Yep, top 5 of 2020 and our top 5 of 2021.
I'm excited to hear you talk about all the all the schlockiness that happened in those years. The plague years, if you will.
I feel like 2020 is such a weird year, but there were some really interesting films released that year that I don't think enough people talk about.
So we're excited to talk about that. I am branding the episode right now as films from the plague years.
Yeah, films. That's honestly 100% what it should be called.
Well, that's what we're calling it. I'm putting my foot down. Films of the plague years.
Films of the plague years, yes. And obviously 2022 was, I would say, almost like a renaissance for film. So many incredible movies were released in 2022. I feel like there was a lot of amazing films released in 2020 and 2021.
No, there was great stuff. There was legitimately great stuff. It's just people weren't paying attention like they should have.
Exactly, especially 2020. I feel like there were so many movies that were really slept on that year. So I'll be really excited to discuss that. As per usual, if you want to follow us on Instagram over at the Film Monsters Podcast, you can see updates about our episodes that are coming up, get all the information you need about those. We're obviously available on all major streaming platforms, or I try to get us on as many as we possibly can. And then obviously you can follow Ray and I on at Analog C and at My Exit Unfair. As always, we really appreciate you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye!